You wake up, feel that the ground is shaking. You think you're still half asleep until you see things falling off the shelves. You look out the window and see nothing but panicked people running and screaming, hoping to survive. What's about to come? Not so far from your house, buildings begin to collapse. In such a state of shock, you don't understand what's happening, but I am here to help you understand how it all works. Nature has many disasters at its disposal. If there is a disagreement between people and Mother Nature, you best believe she is guaranteed to win. One of her most devastating weapons is the earthquake. The tectonic plates that make up the crust of the world are continually shifting. Friction can cause these plates to move more slowly as they collide in fault zones, which can result in pressure building over extended periods of time. Sections of the crust abruptly crack or shift when the force of movement ultimately outweighs the resistance, releasing the built-up pressure in the form of seismic waves. This is a tectonic earthquake, a type of naturally occurring earthquake. Not all earthquakes are deadly. In fact, earthquakes occur every day on land and oceans, some so weak that no one even feels them. Did you know that an earthquake is not only measured by its strength? The Richter Scale is used to calculate the strength and duration of earthquakes. A quake measuring 3 to 4.9 is considered minor or light. 5 to 6.9 is moderate to strong. 7 to 7.9 is major, and 8 or more is devastating. But let's take a closer look at their origin place. What causes earthquakes? Earthquakes often result from subsurface rock breaking unexpectedly and fast movement along a fault. The seismic waves that cause the ground to tremble are brought on by this quick release of energy. Large amounts of this kind of energy means big disaster. The inner core, outer core, mantle, and crust are the 4 main layers of the planet. Our planet's surface is covered by a thin layer of skin made up of the crust and the top of the mantle. Yet this skin does not cover the entire surface of the globe in one piece. Rather, it is composed of several pieces, much like a jigsaw. In addition, these jigsaw pieces are continuously moving slowly in all directions, slipping past one another and colliding. These tectonic plates are the part of the puzzle that make up the Earth, and their limits are known as plate margins. The majority of earthquakes in the world happen on the many faults that make up the plate borders. The rough edges of the plates cause them to become caught while the remainder of the plate continues to move. When the plate has shifted sufficiently, an earthquake results from one of the fault's edges coming loose. With such huge movements, it's only natural to ask yourself this: how long does it take for something like this to happen? And can we be ready for it? Can we predict earthquakes? It is difficult to predict them because they happen underground. And even when they are predicted, there is rarely anything that can be done to prevent or reduce impact. The only salvation of foresight is to prepare and save people, one might think. But trust us when we tell you that there might be something more that we can do. The possibilities of an earthquake of a particular magnitude occurring inside a location over a period of years are referred to as earthquake probabilities. On the basis of the average frequency of previous seismic activity in a location, probabilities may be determined. Seismographs, which become widely used in the early 1900s, have been used to record earthquakes in areas where this technology is most helpful. By excavating trenches and looking through the geological record for seismic ruptures that happened in the distant past, scientists learn more about these events, but with less accuracy. Mathematics may also be used to derive probabilities. Seismologists, for instance, take into consideration 2 processes when estimating the number of years it may take to see an earthquake of a specific magnitude: the tension that the tectonic plate motion places on faults and the release of tension caused by a fault slip. Scientists are currently working on the development of additional technology that will be able to give us more accurate predictions of these monstrous phenomena in the future. We can only hope that it will be as soon as possible before some terrible tremors happen to us. What are the signs of an earthquake? Are there any signs of an earthquake at all? If they exist, will we react in time? A nearby large earthquake will feel like a sudden, strong jolt, followed by swifter, more intense shaking. The shaking may last for a few seconds or up to a couple of minutes. Standing up will be challenging due to the strong shaking, which will leave your home looking like a wreck, to say the least. But that is still good compared to what could have happened. The world's largest ever recorded earthquake. On May 22, 1960, a major earthquake with a measured magnitude occurred close to Valdivia in southern Chile. The United States Geological Survey gave it a magnitude of 9.5. It is also known as the 1960 Valdivia earthquake and the Great Chilean Earthquake. This incident was described as the biggest earthquake of the 20th century by the United States Geological Survey. Although there may have been greater earthquakes in the past, this one is the biggest to have happened since precise magnitude estimations were made attainable in the early 1900s. Estimates of the number of casualties from this earthquake vary widely. The range is around 6,000 for the high and 490 for the low. In Chile, ground motion and tsunamis were the main causes of fatalities. Unfortunately, this incident resulted in the deaths of individuals as far away as the Philippines. Local damage caused by largest earthquake. Off the Chilean coast, deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, there was an earthquake. Thousands of structures were demolished or severely damaged by the earthquake's ground motion. Over 2 million individuals, according to the Chilean government, were homeless. It was lucky that the earthquake struck in the middle of the afternoon and that a strong foreshock had preceded it. Following the foreshock, several individuals fled their homes out of fear. They were outside when the major earthquake struck. Shortly after the earthquake, these waves rushed across coastal communities. Several individuals were drowned when they moved structures away from their foundations. Estimates of the number of casualties from this earthquake vary widely. The range is around 6,000 for the high and 490 for the low. In Chile, ground motion and tsunamis were the main causes of fatalities. Unfortunately, this incident resulted in the deaths of individuals as far away as the Philippines. According to the estimates, the damage cost between 400 and 800 million in 1960, which, after accounting for inflation, translates to around 3 to 6 billion now. Where do most of the earthquakes occur? The Pacific Ocean's rim, sometimes known as the Ring of Fire because of its abundance of volcanic activity, is where 80% of all earthquakes on Earth occur. The majority of earthquakes happen in fault zones, which are places where massive rock slabs, called tectonic plates, meet or move in opposition to one another. On the surface, these collisions are often slow and imperceptible, but tremendous tension can develop between the plates. Rapid release of this tension causes seismic waves, which are extremely powerful vibrations, to travel hundreds of miles through the rock and rise to the surface. As plates are stretched or compressed, more earthquakes might happen outside of the fault zones. This is scary, considering the havoc they do. Earthquake massive damage. Every year on average, a magnitude 8 earthquake occurs somewhere, and earthquakes claim the lives of about 10,000 people. The vast majority of fatalities are caused by collapsing structures, although the devastation is frequently made worse by mudslides, fires, floods, or tsunamis. Minor earthquakes, which typically happen in the days after a major one, can make rescue attempts more difficult and result in additional casualties and damage. Planning ahead for emergencies, spreading awareness, and building structures that will sway rather than collapse in the event of an earthquake can all help prevent fatalities. Energy released. The energy emitted increases around 30-fold with every unit increase in magnitude. For instance, a magnitude 6.0 earthquake releases around 32 times more energy than a magnitude 5.0 earthquake, while a magnitude 7.0 earthquake releases 1,000 times more energy. The energy released by an earthquake of 8.6 magnitudes is equivalent to 10,000 atomic bombs of the scale used in World War II. Technologies for earthquake. Seismic occurrences are found using devices like creep meters, laser beams, and seismographs. A tool called a seismograph is used to gauge an earthquake's power and seismic waves. Seismologists can decipher the sequence of events leading up to a devastating earthquake by using the waves that the seismometer detects during an earthquake, including the direction, position, or epicenter, and amount of slide on the earthquake-generating fault. The location of the earthquake may be determined using the interval between P and S waves. Other than seismographs, laser beam-based technologies are also employed. To establish time average slip rates on faults, laser beams are positioned on fault lines to detect minor changes across portions of plate boundaries on land. To ascertain whether the sluggish movement is occurring, a creep meter monitors the horizontal movements of the fault lines. Although the creep meter and laser beam technologies are similar, the creep meter employs stretched wire, while the laser beam uses laser beams. Also, researchers keep an eye on the radon gas levels that leak through the Earth's surface fractures. An impending earthquake may be indicated by a quick rise in the level. That's a lot of talk about things we will be able to do, but here are some things we can do now if we find ourselves in them. How to stay safe from earthquakes. To stay safe from an earthquake is a huge challenge, but we would advise you to first avoid being knocked over by the earthquake by getting on your hands and knees. Although preventing you from falling, this position nevertheless permits you to move if necessary. Secondly, cover your head, neck, and if you can, your entire body below a solid desk or table. If there isn't any nearby shelter, crouch down next to an interior wall or behind any low-lying furniture that won't fall on you. Cover your head and neck with your arms and take shelter there. Until the shaking stops, hang on to your shelter or to your head and neck. If the shaking causes your shelter to move, be ready to move with it. During an earthquake, do not flee to other rooms or the outside. If you remain where you are, your chances of getting hurt are lower. If your knees don't tremble because of this topic and your kneecaps are still in place, hit that like and subscribe button, since we have many more interesting topics coming your way. Thank you for watching.